Hi, I'm John Mallows. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Glad you're here on a Tuesday morning. Today we're talking about a nonprofit business that has been around for a long time, helping people with drug addiction and many other issues. 436-ME-TV option 11. You can call into our program. You can weigh in any time you like during the course of the next 60 minutes. Back in a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Glad you're back here on the program on a Tuesday morning. Today the focus is on business, no question about that. We'll get into that in just a couple of minutes. But first I want to mention tomorrow's program is going to be a really interesting breakthrough program because we're talking about reconciliation between the Armenians and the Turks. Yes, there is a movement going on right now. You may not be aware of it, you may not have heard about it, you may not have seen it, but it is going on behind the scenes, not only in this country, not only with a meeting that started right here in the city of Fresno, but it certainly has spread across over land and sea, my friends. That's right, overseas in Turkey and in Armenia, as the organization and the meetings and the movement continues to try to reconcile what happened. Not reparations, not justice, but what happened in terms of reconciliation. It'll be an interesting program tomorrow because we've talked about the Armenian genocide countless times here on the program in the last 5 years or so, as you well know. 102 years and counting since the genocide happened. Then on Thursday, Skip Essick is going to be here. He owns that radio station, 680. He'll be here to talk about crime and homelessness here in the city of Fresno. As you may or may not know, a shooting took place this morning, just a while ago, here in the southeast part of the city. 4 people were shot, so we'll talk a little bit about that to Skip. And then Peter Capitan, a local attorney, has been around here many years, a long time, my friends. He's going to talk about the Keith Foster case and why this thing may or may not go back to trial. Why he may be in danger when he goes to prison, if he goes to prison for up to 25 years. So we have an interesting week ahead. In the meantime, we're going to focus on today's program, and you're watching us live on Comcast Channel 375 as usual. It's a live call-in show, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning. If you don't have Comcast cable, 43.6 and 13.1 over-the-air broadcast with a digital television antenna. So we have Comcast cable, and then we have the over-the-air broadcast watchers as well. A lot of folks watching up and down the Central Valley, at least have access to it. Then the replay comes up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube. Then at 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. After that, the show appears on YouTube for as long as I think time goes on, my friends. Today the focus is on business, a nonprofit 50c3, been around for 4 decades. Now this is an organization that helps those who are homeless. It helps those who have drug addiction. It actually helps those who have come back from overseas having fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. I want to roll the videotape, show you what I'm talking about. This is the lead in to my program today, my friends. That's exactly right, because believe it or not, you may want to not hear about it, but combat operations are still underway right now in Iraq, 6 years after the U.S. pulled its troops out. That according to Air Force Colonel John Dorian, who recently told reporters that the U.S. is supporting Iraqi forces in the fight against ISIS for Mosul. Dorian said that U.S. troops have come under heavy fire at different times, and they have returned fire, but he did not specify how many times or when. He did not say if any of our troops have been wounded or killed. Currently, there are roughly 5,000 U.S. troops in Iraq, about 300 in Syria, and more than 8,000 in Afghanistan. As you may know, President Barack Obama ended U.S. combat operations in Iraq in 2010 and Afghanistan in 2014. 2 million Americans have served in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Veterans Administration says that 1 in 5 suffers from PTSD. One reason is because many of our troops have been ordered on 3, 4, even 5 tours of duty. Post-traumatic stress disorder, a mental health problem, can creep in if someone lives through a life-threatening, even like a car accident or combat. They can't erase the memories. They feel on edge. They have trouble sleeping. Certainly a life-changing event. Where am I going with all this, my friends? I will tell you. Westcare, today's guest, the president and CEO, they help these veterans. In fact, watch and listen carefully to a recent 60-minute story as the Veterans Administration has created now a new kind of program, a new kind of therapy that was originally created for rape victims.
The 16 men around this table arrived via Afghanistan, Iraq, or both. Some are here from Vietnam.
I see that I do have, that opportunity to pick myself up. At 63 years old, and start all over again.
They've started over again many times, but their path has led back to isolation, drugs, booze, and suicide attempts. Now, they're in the VA hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas, where they will live for 8 weeks to break through the emotions that have derailed their lives.
Depression, anxiety, anger, worthlessness, guilt.
Guilt?
Survivors, guilt. Why me? Why am I alive? Why are they not? That's one of the hardest thoughts to deal with,
Eric Collins was wounded in a rocket attack in Afghanistan. Over a year, 17 of his buddies died.
How did you cope with these feelings of anger and depression and guilt when you first got out?
Alcohol, and lots of it. That's where it started off. And alcohol led to my depression worsening, which led to more substance abuse. Crack, cocaine is my drug of choice. So my whole life spiraled downward out of control.
To take control, Collins volunteered for one of the new therapies called prolonged exposure. It forces him to work at remembering every detail of what he's tried to forget.
Next thing I hear a loud boom. My ears start ringing. And I wake up, open my eyes, and I'm on the ground.
Dr. Kevin Reeder runs the program.
How are you feeling at this point? What were you feeling at that time?
Anger. I'm scared. Feeling pain. My leg, my back, my arm, my whole body.
Okay, let's go from the beginning. Gotta keep doing this.
Next thing I know, I hear a loud boom.
They call it prolonged exposure because Collins will relive the story of the attack 5 times a session. There's a tape running, and he'll listen to his memory throughout the day to break its power.
All right, live in our studio right now is Shawn Jenkins. He is the Senior Vice President of Westcare, California. He is here to talk extensively about his company, one that serves 18 states across the country, including here on the West Coast. You're talking California, of course, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, and Arizona. He's very familiar with these veterans and some of the problems they have with PTSD. And that program, of course, featured on 60 Minutes now. It's called, prolonged exposure. You have to just constantly, on an ongoing basis, repeat out loud what you saw, what happened. And originally this program was scheduled to be administered to rape victims. And it's working now, I guess, on U.S. veterans that are coming back from combat in Afghanistan and Iraq. It was a story that was recently posted on 60 Minutes. They did a great job with that. We'll talk to Shawn Jenkins about how they deal with veterans that have come home and have the same traumatic experience. They turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, their lives spiral out of control. 436-ME-TV, option 11 is the telephone number here. We have an open phone line. If any of you veterans out there are watching, call in, weigh in, back in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better.
Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Take a look at this. Let's play.
This is too hip for you. I'll slow down.
Let's play.
Watch all your favorite classic game shows on Buzzer TV, KVBC Digital Channel 13.7.
Back here on the program, Shawn Jenkins is here, and welcome to the program, Shawn. You're the Senior Vice President of Westcare, California. Good to have you on the program today. And I got to tell you, this is a tough issue to deal with these veterans coming back. We're going to talk about all the programs and services you have, but and it is a 501c3, of course. It is a nonprofit organization, been around for a long time. But specifically, I'm touched by the veterans and was touched by that story. I had a former boss at KMPH who was a sergeant, served in Vietnam, and he was, he was in charge of several battalions, and many of his men were killed right in front of him, like dozens. He survived, and he had a difficult time dealing with that. He actually turned to alcohol to a certain extent. All right, caller, you're on the air. Before I even ask the first question, go ahead, caller. What's your question?
Shawn, let me ask you a real quick question. I have a nephew that went into Afghanistan at 22 years, and about he was there, I think, believe it 3 years or so. But what I wonder is with your program and everything, there has to be a way that a lot of these young men and women that serve Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever. I know a lot of them too from Vietnam. There's so much tension, especially when they see, some of the comrades die in front of themselves, and see all these things that stays in their minds, and the wives don't understand why they're doing this, and a lot of them just go to the streets and homeless and don't think of themselves as worth anything, because they have this mindset that just tears them apart. So how can you tell especially a nephew that I understand the problem, because I've seen a lot of programs that the spouses have to understand that what they're going to go through, and then it's going to make it harder on them. So I would say 90% of them just leave because they don't want to deal with that. Yeah. Is that true?
Okay, thanks. Go ahead.
I think that the term understanding is a little difficult, because unless you've actually experienced it, then do you truly understand what somebody's going through? I think we have empathy and we feel for somebody in that situation, but I can't say I truly understand what a veteran went through being there and seeing a comrade die, or even having to take a life. That's exposed trauma over and over, and the human mind really isn't built for that. The best thing that we can do is support them and try to get them connected with the VA and connected with resources to help them process these pieces.
How do you help them otherwise? What do you do? What services do you provide for veterans that come back and they just can't deal with normal life back here in the States?
I think there's peer support. We do through San Joaquin Valley Veterans, which is a program of Westcare's. We have a drop-in center. We have a grant supported services for veterans' families to help them if they become homeless or at risk of becoming homeless, because employment is an issue, and sometimes they either struggle maintaining a job or, getting a job. So,
well, what services do you provide? What do you do specifically?
So we provide housing services. So we actually can house a homeless veteran.
For how long? How long a period of time?
Depends on their income, but 6 to 9 months. And then if it looks like they're not going to be employed within that time, then we work closely with the Fresno VA and we look for HUD-VASH vouchers, which doesn't have an end point to it. And so we can help them with that.
And how much space do you have?
We have actually, I mean, the space is because we're just renting available units in town. So we have the funds for homeless veterans right now.
So as many as you can handle, or
can
you put a number on it?
I don't know if as many as we can handle, but right now we still have funding. We have a grant through the Fresno was allocated like to the Fresno Madera Continuum of Care. It's $2 million. So we do case management out of that. So part of that comes out. So we have over $1 million something a year just in housing services that we can provide.
Right, but you can house up to how many at one time?
A couple of hundred.
Couple of hundred.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a few. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with our guest today, Shawn Jenkins.
Good morning, Shawn. Well, I got a couple of questions for you. First question, are there two kinds of people that are on drugs? And I'll go detail. Some are military people, and some are people that steal for their drugs. That's my first question. Second question, do they live, the ones that are military drug users, do they tend to live closer to a VA hospital where they can get help? I'm sure they come and they go at times. That's my second question. And the third one is my daughter went to San Francisco this weekend and saw a lot of homeless, a couple of people taking drugs, I guess for their veins. And the people in San Francisco, are they different than the military people that went to, well, not necessarily Vietnam, but the recent wars that we've had, Afghanistan? Are they a different type of person that are either living in San Francisco or they don't live in San Francisco? I guess she had her eyes open on this one. She said, "Ooh, God, it's not good." And he went to a play there, and he saw a number of homeless people. So that's those. If you can remember those questions, John, for Shawn, I appreciate the answers that you might open my eyes to. And thank you, Shawn, for being on board.
Thanks for the call. I wrote all the questions.
It's a very important subject.
I wrote all the questions
John,
down.
too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, first question. Are there two kinds of people who take drugs? The military people that come back and they can't cope, and the people who are just simply on the street dealing drugs, using drugs, supporting their habit, and stealing to support their habit. Are there two different kinds of people?
I don't think so. I think if you're a drug user, it's a multidimensional problem, just like homelessness.
Yeah.
There's not one reason why, most of the time, there's not one reason why somebody picks up and starts using drugs or alcohol, whether it's legal. So we have people that drink to excess, and it's legal. So it's not an illegal activity, but it's creating a problem in their life. So if it's creating a problem in your life, then what are you trying to avoid? What are you trying to escape from? So I think you're military, you're probably talking really severe trauma. And so they're trying to escape from those memories and trying to, get away from that. Other folks, that you're talking non-military that have drug problems, what kind of issues do they have? They can have some of the same issues. They can have different types of trauma, but it usually is trauma-based that hasn't been dealt with and they don't know how to process. And so they're trying to find an escape, a way out of it.
So in both cases, the military and just the regular street user, they're both trying to use these drugs or alcohol as an escape, because they're trying to escape these bad memories of whatever the case may be, whether it's combat, whether it's abuse at home, a bad marriage, whatever the case may be, right? So they're trying to use that as an escape.
Yeah, you have people that are really have predisposition to addiction to anything. It could be shopping, it could be anything. And so if they pick up drugs, and especially if they pick up a drug like, we'll talk heroin, now you're talking about a physical addiction. So you actually get physical withdrawals if you stop using it after a certain point in time.
I guess we're talking about the reason that people use, from your experience, and you've been there how long at Westcare?
25 years.
25 years. So from your experience, the military and the street user are one and the same. They're both trying to escape.
Yeah, and I think that people may take that a little offensive, saying, well, a military and a street user is the same. No, I'm not equating the two traumas as being the same.
No, they're situation. They're similar in that they're trying to escape.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it's a coping mechanism. That's the only similarity, right?
Yeah, it's a poor coping mechenism, but it is a coping mechanism.
Right. Okay, that's a really good question by the caller there. I really like that question. Do military people who have drug issues and they come back from combat, traditionally, do they live closer to like a VA hospital or not?
No, they don't traditionally live. You really, people most of the time go home. And then when home, what's happened with a lot of our military personnel, it happened with the Vietnam era when you look at that. And they came back, a lot of those folks came back, their fathers and their grandfathers went to war, they came back a hero. These folks came back and they weren't, and they didn't understand why. And so that was trauma-based right there on top of what they saw there. We have people that are going on multiple deployments, so they don't even have a chance to process what's happened.
Yeah,
and
by the time
they went
they
back.
process, they're going back for the 5th time or whatever.
And you're talking about both, a lot of times now, both family members. Husband and wife, and they deploy at different times. And so now you got trauma on both sides of there, and then the kids stuck in the middle of not understanding what's happened and why did my parents change when they came home.
Isn't that a recipe for disaster and a recipe that we really can't escape? We need the military.
Right. I think that the way we deal with it is by education and by providing the services that they deserve, because they've gone there and they've put their lives on the line for us, and so there shouldn't be anything that we're not willing to do for them.
Yeah. All right, Shawn Jenkins is here. He's the Senior Vice President of Westcare, California. Veterans, that's not the only issue that they deal with. They deal with veterans, but we'll talk about the services that they provide. I had a lot of time left here on the program to go over this. Westcare, California, they serve 18 states, including the western United States. Been around since, 1973, 1974. Shawn has been there 25 years. So if you have drug addiction, if you're homeless, if you are a military person having come back from combat, and you're having issues, Westcare is a place to go. And we're going to talk about whether or not, if somebody walks in, they need help, are they charged? Or is it, are these services free of charge? 436-ME-TV, option 11. A lot more to get to in just a moment.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Sports is now on KBHF 4.3.
To lose one of your buddies in a firefight, you don't want to see that. You don't want to feel that again. And so, yeah, when you get back to the rear, you're pissed off because you don't want to get close to anybody anymore.
Anthony Appolito experienced those multiple tours we talked about. He fought for a year in Afghanistan, spent 1 month at home, then went to Iraq, and later Afghanistan again.
The more deployments you get, the more time you spend out there, it just keeps on stacking. I mean, the first one, it hurts, but you don't get really time to heal. And then another one happens, And another one.
On his first tour, Apolito's patrol was ambushed. 2 buddies died and 20 were wounded.
I had no weapon. No one had my back.
They write about days like that in the other key therapy here called cognitive processing.
After a trauma or multiple traumas, often a person can believe the world just is a dangerous place. And so what we do with CPT, cognitive processing therapy, is they write an impact statement at the beginning of therapy to show them the impact of the trauma on their lives and on their beliefs.
Yes, I have worked on it.
They read that statement about the trauma to the group, and then they discuss how their lives are still held in the grip of war.
I probably still need some work.
I never had a fear of life. I never had a fear of living. I never had a fear of going to the gas station and getting shot while I'm pumping gas because I needed gas in my car.
They plow through a workbook that challenges their guilt with statements like, I shot a woman in combat, therefore I'm worthless. Or, my friend was killed by the enemy, I'm responsible. Cognitive processing tries to put the war in the past and help them re-examine who they are today. It's tough. We noticed this on Apolito's workbook.
All right, so writing everything down and recounting just step by step what happened and going over it numerous times. Cognitive processing, they're trying to remember. What do you think about that, Shawn?
Well, I think that you do have to go through the process, and you do have to say, what is my thought process? What am I really thinking? What am I feeling?
Does it help?
Yeah, because keeping it inside, you can't do anything with it. You just go over it and over it and over it, and you have no way. If you knew how to solve it, you wouldn't be having the problem in the first place. So
getting it out, is it like flushing your body clean?
Yeah, there's a recovery saying that says you're only as sick as your secrets. So if something's a secret, then you can't, and you don't have the ability to process it, you don't know what to do with it. What you do is you subject yourself to it over and over and over again.
So you torture yourself.
Yeah, so you're traumatizing yourself over and over. Once you can get it out, there's people that have feelings. Sometimes our mind and our heart don't agree. Our heart can say something and we can feel a certain way, and then our mind says something else. It says that's wrong. You could have hard feelings for somebody, but your mind says, well, you shouldn't feel that way. Well, I still do. So now what do I do with that? So that's where you get in conflict.
So it's like a cleansing of the mind, body, and soul to a certain extent to be able to get it out into the open. Okay, I shot a woman in combat. I feel horrible about that. I feel like the devil. I feel like I'm not worth living. So to get that out is a healing process?
That's part of it, because really you have to get it out so you can work on it, so you can actually start processing. How does that feel? What does that mean? What did you actually do? What were you charged to do? And you can start kind of separating pieces of what you're responsible for and what you're not responsible for.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. We can't go back in time. So how do you fix the mind? And that's the key question. How do you fix the mind so that you come to the conclusion that, hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda doesn't exist. You did what you did, and now let's move on. And that's the most difficult part in life with anything, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I always say it takes what I call the 3 A's to deal with anything. Awareness. Awareness happens in your head. It's a thought process. You're aware that there's a problem.
Right.
Acceptance happens here. You feel it. People don't want to stay in acceptance too long because it's painful. And then action. You have to do something about it. And so if you don't take those steps, you're going to go back where you were before you were aware, which is in denial.
And maybe we feel more of an obligation, and we should feel this way, about serving humanity. And what I mean by that is actually serving those who laid their lives on the line for us. And those are the combat veterans that come back. Caller, you've been patient. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, thank you. Years ago in Baltimore, Maryland, I did a program called the V-Team. And this program trained Vietnam veterans who, at that time, the VA had said were untrainable and unemployable. A veteran had come into one of my training sessions and had brought some VA people back, and they had me do an initial orientation. The long story short is that the intent was to bring the VA reps back to finish the training. But when that happened, all of the veterans walked out, and they wanted to know, where's that woman? So I did 3.5 years of training, which was putting Vietnam veterans to work at a rate of over 90%. It was the most absolutely satisfying work I've ever done. I am not a psychologist or a therapist. I am a degreed person, but I did this training, and the VA came back to me and wanted to know, how are you doing this? We wrote a program that was to become a national model, and it was killed in a political battle, of course. I am wanting with all my heart to get back to doing that. I have applied to Westcare. I wonder if Mr. Jenkins could offer me some advice about how I could offer what I know could be a wonderful remedy for some of these gentlemen who have been in war.
Don't hang up. Stay on the line, okay, young lady? Stay on the line if you could, all right?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I would say for her to call our San Joaquin Valley Veterans Program, talk to Jenny Gonzalez, who's the program director over there, and let her know what you were doing with the veterans and what that program was like.
Okay. Are you seeking employment with Westcare? Are you looking to help these veterans? Are you looking for a job?
Probably yes to all of that, but the most satisfying work that I have ever done was seeing veterans recover and go to work and be successful with a retention rate of almost 98%.
Okay. What can she get in touch with you at any point? Can she call your office at some point and try to talk to you?
Sure. My number is 559-251-4800.
Okay, say that again.
251-4800.
Okay, and just ask for Shawn Jenkins. Are you there, ma'am?
Oh, yes, I am. I can talk to Mr. Jenkins.
Well, yeah, he's on the air right now, so you can talk to him now.
I know.
But you can call.
251.
Yeah, 251-4800. We're not going to solve this now, so you'll have to call him after hours. I mean, after the show is over at some point, maybe tomorrow or something like that, and try to get a hold of him. Leave a message if he's not there, and he'll get back to you, I'm sure.
All right. This will work for all veterans, I'm convinced. Thank you so much.
Now, wait a second. Ma'am, what is your first name?
Pam.
Pam. And if we wanted to get in touch with you, how would we get in touch with you?
When we're off the air, I can leave my number. I'd be very anxious to talk to anyone.
Okay, well, Pam, do me a favor. Do you have a pen, piece of paper?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I don't want to give your number out over the air, so maybe you can do this. Our front desk is here at Ventura TV, and the number is 265. See, what is the number, Carrie? 265-4326? Yeah, 265-4326. Ask for Michelle. Tell her you called the show, your name is Pam, and leave the phone number, your cell number with Pam, and I'll call you as well.
All right, very good. Thank you so much.
Great, Pam. Have a good day. Thank you. Hey, time to go to break here. Yeah, thanks. Have a good day. 436-MeTV, option 11. Shawn Jenkins, our good friend from Westcare, California, is here. Senior Vice President. He's here to help everyone, my friends. It's an organization and a private not a private, but a nonprofit that's been around for a long time. Back in just a moment.
The Justice Network is here. If you haven't tuned in, you're missing a great lineup of gripping stories of real crime, plus an unprecedented effort by viewers like you to play an active role in making your community safer. You can help support law enforcement by providing information that may lead to the apprehension of dangerous criminals or find a missing child. Great shows and your chance to fight crime, only on the Justice Network.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
feeling like you come down yet?
Yeah.
Stop right there. Think you need to see medical or something?
They ain't gonna do nothing for me anyway.
No? All right, go ahead and step in here for real quick.
I had a great life. I had a great job, great family. I was engaged when I wasn't using. And then these past 2.5, 3 years just been the worst. I've lost everything. Everything in life. These marks here are all old. You see all these little marks right here on my hand? I mean, you can't see any veins in my arms or hands. See, these marks, all these right here, these are all old. All these ones are all new. All the way up here, on this leg, down this leg here, all my whole legs, everything. Those are the new ones. It's pretty bad addiction. I don't even get high anymore. I just do it so I can feel normal. I'm starting to get withdrawals, and it's starting to take effect now since I haven't used in almost 12 hours. You start getting cold, cold, hot, cold, hot. Start sneezing a lot, nose starts running, vomiting. You can't get comfortable. Imagine being physically sick with the flu, just where you don't want to move. Your bones ache, your body aches, your stomach hurts. You just feel like throwing up. You just drained of everything physically. And that's what I'm gonna start going through. I'm scared, and let's be honest.
All right, back here with Shawn Jenkins, a very disturbing video of somebody that was hooked on drugs, heroin, cocaine, you name it, it's out there, opioids, it's out there. A young, healthy, strong-looking man like that could probably play any sports. It can happen to anyone, not just combat veterans that come home. But I want to, before I move on here, talk about some of the services, Shawn, that you provide to people here in the Central Valley. If I'm a veteran and I come home and I have all these problems, okay, you're going to provide housing for me. What about therapy? Can you provide therapy for me?
We do have a therapist at San Joaquin Valley Veterans that will provide therapy. We do try to engage everybody at the VA, but there's some people that don't want to go to the VA for whatever reason initially, so they can get it there at San Joaquin Valley Veterans. And then we try to transition them into a permanent place where they can get all their medical and mental health needs met at the VA.
Yeah, and I wasn't playing any of these videos for the shock value, but just for people to know what's out there.
Right.
And people that bury their head in the sand and say, oh, it doesn't exist because I'm not using drugs. Well, that's not true.
Right.
Am I right about that?
Oh, yeah. It doesn't, drug addiction doesn't discriminate. All race, economical status, it doesn't matter. So it hits
race,
everybody.
Creed, color, religion doesn't matter. It crosses every line.
Every boundary.
Yeah, every boundary. Those who have money, those who don't have money. Those in between, those kind of in between the in-between.
Yep.
It affects every person known to mankind that's on the economic ladder and the racial and religious ladder as well, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so what services can you provide for those that have drug addiction, especially those veterans?
Well, VA has services at the VA, but we also have residential treatment. We have outpatient treatment.
Is it just going cold turkey without? Is that part of the treatment?
Some of it we do have medication-assisted treatment. So we have we do Vivitrol, which actually blocks the receptors. So if somebody is an opiate or an alcohol user, it blocks those receptors, so they won't get high. Vivitrol. It's an injection, and so with that, if they're clean, then they can take the injection. And so for 28 days, if they were to relapse, so if they were to use, they wouldn't get high. And that's a lot of it, is that piece. It helps reduce cravings and whatnot.
Let's take this call here. Caller, you're on the air with Shawn Jenkins. What's your question?
Hi, I actually want to give you some praise. My daughter just graduated. I think yesterday was her last day, and she's been doing great, and she's all different. She's well, and I'm very happy with the program.
Graduated from where, sir?
Pardon me?
You said your daughter just graduated. Graduated from what? Where?
Westcare in Fresno here.
Okay.
On
Congratulations.
Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of problem did she have?
She was smoking a lot of meth.
Okay. Tell us how Westcare helped your daughter, please.
How they helped her? They were just always there for her. The programs, they kept her busy and just taught her how to live life normally again without the drug.
How did they help her beat the addiction?
I think I'm not sure, positively sure. She was in her first 6 months, I believe. She was in a 6-month program, and she wanted her kids back. She wanted a normal life, and they just helped her achieve that goal through the counseling and the program, the classes they have, and the incentives to do good. She, at the end there, she got to go out once a week, on Saturdays for a few hours. It just worked out great for her. I'm very pleased.
Is there anything you'd like to ask our guest, Shawn Jenkins? He's the Senior Vice President for Westcare.
I was wondering, I always wanted to ask, do you guys have like an outpatient program too?
Yes, we do. We have an outpatient program over on Belmont and the Shawn area. So outpatient's available, and I would encourage that she continue with outpatient and look for some other services such as 12-step or getting involved. Really, it's about getting involved in something larger than yourself is what drug addiction is, and being involved. So, yeah, going to church, getting involved with your community, but outpatient is essential.
Yeah. Anything
Well,
you'd like to ask
I
our
wanted to-
caller? Since his daughter went through the program.
Well, I'm really happy it worked out for your daughter. I think Westcare's got a great program. Are we the program for everybody? Probably not. But I think that's the great thing about Fresno is we have a lot of different community providers here.
Yeah.
And sometimes we plant the seed and it grows someplace else. Sometimes somebody else plants the seed and it grows at Westcare. So I'm just happy that you got your daughter back.
Right.
That's great. And
Go ahead, sir.
I was going to say, because I have a second daughter who went in there, and it actually did not work for her. She's clean now. I've been clean for a little while, but for some other reason, maybe you guys planted the seed, like you said, and so.
Yeah.
But she didn't last too long there.
Well, I think that relapse is part of recovery. It happens. It's a part that we don't like to look at, and we don't like to talk about, or people don't like to talk about, but it is a reality. It's a chronic relapsing disease, so we have to stay on top of it. And what I always tell people when they come back is welcome back. Let's just talk about where you went off track, and you didn't fail at everything. You went off track someplace, and let's see where you went off track and get back on the right.
Yeah. Hey,
path.
sir, caller, let me ask you, did your daughter have to pay for any of the services at Westcare?
No.
Okay.
She did not.
Okay.
So, and my second daughter, she did come back again too, and try again. I think it was a third time even, and you guys did take her back the third time even. It's just, I don't know. It just, she needed something else or something. I'm not sure, but I'm just glad that Westcare is there.
I'm glad everything worked out for both of your daughters, and this is kind of a heartwarming call. I really appreciate you calling in and sharing that story.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you had your guest on here, and glad I watch you guys all the time. I watch you all the time.
Okay. Well, thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it very much, and we appreciate all the viewers out there and all the callers. You have a good day, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So Shawn Jenkins is a guy that I've been trying to get on this program for the longest time. Glad we hooked up today. We got a good show going here, and I want to continue. And you said yourself just a moment ago that the services don't work for everybody. Why?
Sometimes people aren't either. I say it's easy to say people aren't ready, but I think as a program and as an agency, we have to continue to change because people change and their circumstances change, and so we have to adapt. And so I always try to look at it and say, were we ready for them when they came? Okay. Instead of saying they weren't ready for us. But there is a segment, people change around crisis, generally.
Yeah.
not too many people wake up one morning and say, oh, I think I don't have anything to do. I'll go into drug treatment today. Yeah, it's a crisis. Either their family says you need to move out, somebody's losing their kids, they have legal problems, or they just realize life isn't going the direction that I wanted it to go. And so whatever their crisis is, that's kind of the place where you need to kind of capitalize on.
What other organizations do you partner with to help people with drug addiction, whether it be military, veterans, or just the average person?
Turning Point, CAP Recovery, Mental Health Systems, Poverello House, the Rescue Mission, Salvation Army. So all the programs. It's really it's everybody doing their part is really what it takes.
Yeah, most of those organizations, by the way, they've been guests here on the program several times over. So
all
great
quality organizations.
Quality organizations, no question about it. Well, you must be doing something right. You've been around for 4 decades. You've been around for 25 years. Carrie, let's put up the full screens if we can. Let's start one by one here. Westcare Services. And Shawn, let's put up the first one there. Mental health and wellness, psychiatric response, living room, HIV, AIDS. Explain the services here as we go through these one by one.
So in Madera County, we do all the 5150 assessments for them, all the mental health hold assessments.
5150 meaning?
So it's a mental health hold, involuntary mental health hold.
And that could be an ambulance call, it could be whatever, right?
Right. Okay. So we do it for adults and children after 5 p.m. and on weekends. And we also do have a therapist that does ride along with the PD for crisis response to try to de-escalate situations in the field so that they don't get hospitalized and don't do that. The living room is a HIV AIDS drop-in center. Just testing, counseling services, housing people with AIDS, hot meals, a variety of things.
Great. All right, let's go to the second one, treatment and rehabilitation. You can see all the services right there. Why don't you go through them one by one here and tell us what these represent.
So outpatient services are for somebody that either A, is stepping down out of a residential program or has a good structured environment to live in and can maintain by just going to outpatient visits and counseling and group sessions. We do adolescent outpatient. That's generally done at school sites. So we have several school sites where we do outpatient services.
School sites?
Yes.
Really? Like what schools?
So we do...
Name a couple off the top of your head. I don't know.
Clovis. We do one in the Clovis Adult School. We do Sanger.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so that's for adolescents, it's hard to get them to come to outpatient services out in the community. So if you can do it at the school and get them there while they're at school, it does 2 things. It provides them some treatment services and keeps them engaged in school.
Okay. So, go ahead. What's up? What's next here? Okay.
Veterans, we do have San Joaquin Valley veterans, so we do housing. We also have 2 transitional programs. One for men where they can stay up to 24 months, and one for women, and the women can actually have children.
So I was going to ask about kids. That was going to be my next question. So kids are welcome, obviously.
In our women's program. In our men's program, they don't.
But they don't. But and so how stay with this for a second here. Stick with number 3 here, because I want to ask about the children and how they're affected.
Well, I think that there is an effect, especially for our transitional program. It's really they've become homeless. Women have generally more options than men do. People are more likely to take a woman and children in and like double up in their house than they are men. But if you're homeless or your mother or father are experiencing PTSD or those things, of course it's going to have an impact. It's not the healthiest environment to live in. And so you kind of have to work both and look at what does the female veteran need in this case, and then what do they need for the child. And we're talking not just infants, so we take them up to 18. So sometimes it's an older child.
Yeah, it could be a teenage years, and they could be affected mentally, socially, whatever the case may be. All right, let's go to number 4, criminal justice. What's this all about here?
So we have a large program contract with the Department of Corrections. I guess I'd say we kind of like a managed care provider. We have 38 counties where we provide substance abuse treatment, residential, outpatient, sober living, for people that are coming out of prison programs into the community, so we can help them transition back. are also straight referrals from the parole office, so they can say, hey, this person needs some help, and so then we can put them into treatment. We do also provide, we have 2 community programs for women that are serving the end of their sentence, so they can come out and live in a community program. They're on electronic monitoring, but they're able to go to school, get a job, save money, and it's a transition back into the community. And then we provide several programs inside the institutions for people pre-release.
What about parolees? I see parolees up there. What about services for some of the parolees?
We do for general population parolees, we have a residential multi-service program that's up to 6 months where they can come in. If they have a drug and alcohol issue, we'll address that while they're there, but they're also, the primary for that program is for them to get back employed, save some money, and reintegrate back into the community.
Let me ask you something about parolees. Let's stick with this one for a minute here. How do you teach somebody to stop burglarizing homes or cars, or stop living a life of crime and get on the straight and narrow? How do you teach that?
I think you have to get down to the root of their motivation. What are they trying to do? What are they're trying to make it. They may have substandard skills and not be employable. So how do we get them out there, get them employed, get them seeing that there's a different way to do things? A lot of times people go to crimes and gangs and these things for a sense of family. I know it sounds odd, but they may not have that sense at home, and so they went to someplace else where they felt like they belonged. And so it's trying to show them that that's not going to get them where they want to go. It's not
a dead end.
Yeah, it's a place going back to prison and back and forth. It's kind of a revolving door.
Yeah, and is that probably one of the toughest nuts to crack besides drugs? Is teaching that person, hey, the life of crime is not the way to go?
Yeah, actually breaking any cycles is tough. So you see it with people that have eating disorders.
In other words, I guess what I'm getting to is because Jerry Dyer has been on this program many times, and he believes in rehabilitation. Do you believe in rehabilitation for some of these parolees?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah, so it does work.
It does work. So
except for maybe the hardened criminals.
I think even the most, at this point, we have more people that are coming out or being released as lifers that were serving life sentences than ever before. And they know this is one chance. That's it. They're very compliant. They're very motivated to do it. They're very thankful for the last chance that they're getting.
Yeah.
Can we help everybody? No. Do some people need to stay in prison? I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Hey, let's go to number 5, housing opportunities. We talked a little bit about this with the veterans. You also provide housing for the homeless, right?
Yes, we do.
You know the homeless problem. I don't know, there's probably a couple of thousand on the street right now, and they're all over Fresno. The encampments have been banned, as you well know. So now they're going to northeast, northwest. They're going all over the city. They're streaming into places like Sanger and other places. This is one of the most difficult problems to solve. How do you help these people? You know, this could be you or me.
Correct.
People living paycheck to paycheck. You could be out there on the street at any time. So is it difficult to deal with this?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's like addiction. It's a multi-dimensional problem. There's not one reason that you can put your finger on that everybody's homeless. They're not all mentally ill. They're not all substance abusers. So you can't paint them with one brush. You really have to get in there and see what it is. Some of them have been homeless for a long time, and so it takes a while to build up trust and for them to even start divulging what their real needs are. Fresno's really trying to work on a housing first model, is let's get them housed and then let's work on the subset of issues.
Is that going to work?
I believe it will, but we don't have all the resources that we need to tackle the problem, and people are seeing it more and more. And because of the reason that you said is that the encampments have been busted up, so they move around, and now they're in neighborhoods that they weren't in before.
And not only that, people are homeless for different reasons. Not everybody, I mean, you could have a middle-class family living paycheck to paycheck. One loses their job, and boom, they're on the street.
Correct.
And so that's the problem that Fresno is facing. It's one of the biggest problems that, and I don't know if you believe in the mayor that this problem can be solved. To a certain extent. You may not be able to get everyone off the street, but you believe it can be dwindled down, the numbers.
I believe it could be dwindled down. I testified at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and I said in 2016 we did a little over 1,300 what they call VI SPDATs, which is an assessment that people willingly took and said, I want housing. We were only able to house 600. So you
How
still
many of those
have
wanted housing? Again?
over 1,300.
Wow. How many are on the street now, would you venture to say, from your count?
Oh,
hate to put you on the spot like that. Is it under 2,000 or?
Yeah, it's under 2,000.
It's under 2,000.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to number 6. And education and prevention. We kind of talked about this throughout the entire program, so you can go over it again just real quick. You're kind of short on time, but go ahead.
You know, we do education and prevention programs. We do speakers bureaus. We'll go out and talk at schools. We do community events and things to educate the public on what resources are out there.
Okay, number 7, the telephone number right there on your screen. If you want to call and talk to Shawn, if you need help and want to talk to one of the staff members, you can call area code 559-251-4800. Available 24/7, or can you leave a message or what?
That number is 8 to 5. The 24-hour number would be 559-265. 4,800, that's our residential treatment center.
All right. And a man that was on the board at Westcare for many, many years, a friend of ours here too at MeTV, because he was the face of MeTV before I came to work here. His name was John Wallace, recently passed away. Let's put his picture on the screen. Longtime broadcaster, very well respected. Spent many years anchoring at Channel 30 with Nancy Osborne. Both have been guests here on the program. And John, of course, passing away just recently, sad. I had a lot of friends, a lot of family mourning his loss, and we mourn his loss too, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his family here at Ventura TV. John Wallace worked at Channel 47 many years too as the morning anchor and had to retire because of many health problems. Let's roll a commercial. Can we roll a commercial real quick? John Wallace, go ahead.
I'm John Wallace. We're grateful that Channel 30 has long been the #1 choice for television here in the Valley. On Monday, September 9th, the ABC television network joins Channel 30. The station's strong local commitment to you continues with action news. And soon, popular shows like Dynasty and Hotel. Keep watching. What's best about television continues here on Channel 30.
Roger, that's affirmative. John Wallace here reporting to you from the front line about MeTV, that is. MeTV is your command post for daily rations of mischief and laughter with the likes of Sergeant Bilko, Major Houlihan, Private Gomer Pyle, and Colonel Hogan and his heroes. Now, if gunfights and dogfights are your mission, 12 o'clock high and combat are your rally points on MeTV. Patrol MeTVFresno.com to acquire the intelligence you need to get MeTV for free. Hoorah!
John Wallace, the voice and the face of MeTV Fresno. What does his loss mean to your organization, and how did he help you?
The loss is huge. Those are footprints that I don't think anybody can really fill. John was a board member for us for a long time, and he transitioned from a board member to working on at our foundation office. And then at the end of his last couple of years when he was really sick, he took over our newsletter, was doing our monthly newsletter, communicated with staff. John, as you know, knew everybody here in Fresno, and so for me personally, it was a great resource. I could call and say, hey, who is this? What's the backstory here? John knew everybody, could put in a call and get you an appointment or open a door for you.
Because he
and
knew
was
everybody.
Just, and he was just a good guy.
Yeah, he really was. He wanted to help everyone.
He did.
He did. So he's going to be sorely missed, and of course we mourn the loss here. He was a great friend and a confidant to a certain extent, and we got to go. We're out of time, but Shawn, I'd like you to come back at some point.
Anytime.
An hour is too short. Not enough time, my
Thank
friend.
you.
Shawn Jenkins, the Senior Vice President at Westcare, California. You can call 251-4800, get in touch with him. We'll see you back here tomorrow talking about the Armenian genocide and reconciliation between the Armenians and the Turks. Have a great day and stay safe.
If you have a need to promote your business or event, please consider MeTV Fresno for your next campaign. MeTV reaches over 100,000 of your potential customers in the Fresno area every single week. Plus, you can rest assured that your commercial is running in the greatest family